I promised us a look at the certificate, and I want to take a look at this now. So folks that have been on calls before have seen a similar form of this agreement, but I want to go through and highlight some of the elements that we've added into this. This document is specific to a brand. So at the top of this, we're going to have reference to the franchisor. So we're looking at Tropical Smoothie or Sport Clips. We're going to reference the name of the brand here. The beginning of this document is putting some teeth in this and having the franchisor understand that the statements that are made in this document need to be true and that the SBA lenders are going to be using this for SBA eligibility certification. And that's the first part of this document. Franchisors are certifying that the statements and information provided are true. They understand and acknowledge that participating lenders of the SBA are going to rely on the certification for determining eligibility. And the franchisor acknowledges that the certification is material to participating lenders and are essential for participating lenders to enter into a lending transaction. Any information that is submitted with an SBA application that is subject to federal laws are subject to, for example, damages under the False Claims Act. So we're putting in some serious teeth here. The franchisors know that this is a document that's going to be used with official SBA lending and that all the statements that they make in here need to be true. Then we are going through and we're outlining a list of specific non-affiliation provisions that may be present in a franchise agreement that are going to affect your package's eligibility. Now, what's new in this is the ability for the franchisor and the lender as well to note where specific elements may or not be applicable to their deal. So I've highlighted a couple of these that we're going to just roll through. So first, if the franchisor has subordination language and documentation, they're certifying that that document does not include non-disturbance in informal language. So we can still use a franchisor subordination document, but they are certifying that it does not include this non-disturbance in informal language, which is ineligible. And they're going to check there if that's eligible or applicable for their deal. Recording restrictive covenants and restrictive deeds against the real estate is something that is ineligible with SBA. And this is again pointing that out, that the franchisor may not record against the real estate any deed restrictions that restrict the use of the property or any restrictive covenants. And that's something that plays into our case example. So that's an important thing to pay attention to. Business model eligibility is something that we're going to look at. And we're going to look at this specific issue with the screen out letters with Game Day Men's Health about restricting patronage based on race, color, religion, sex, handicap, or national origin. We're going to look at an example of this. But if that franchise model markets to any one of those restrictions, if it's a race restriction, sex restriction, anything like that, the franchisor is going to have to sign an affidavit that their franchise business is open to all willing customers. And so this is an important point, and you'll see it in the screen out letter where this came up. But lenders need to understand that if this franchise business is in any way sort of indicating that they are targeting one sex or race or religion over another, they're going to need to sign one of these affidavits, and you want to pay attention to it in the eligibility certification. Some of the other stuff that we cover here, live performances of a purely sexual nature. We talk about businesses that are speculative in nature, and with respect to the franchise space, certain types of development agreements may well offend this. So we're looking specifically at master franchise agreements and area development agreements, and looking at the situations where they may or not be eligible. So we need to make sure that we're paying attention to that if our borrower is using a development agreement or a master franchise agreement. We talk about passivity and passive business. There is some language here about sale of CBD products and that it cannot be more than 5% of the revenue. So we've really gone through a lot of detail here to make sure that we have all of these non-affiliation provisions. And at the bottom of this document, it is signed and executed by a representative of the franchisor, typically a chief financial officer or someone of that nature. Once this document's been signed by the franchisor, we list it on Franchise Registry for you guys to access and download. And we're going to go through that here in the next couple frames so you can see exactly how you would determine, do we have a certification? And if not, how to reach out to FRANdata to get it.